This episode's record of the week was ranked number 1 in the Daily Telegraph's 100 Greatest Songs of All Time in 2015. David Bowie's Life on Mars from the great album Hunky Dory. Although Changes was the hit from the record, to me this song is the centerpiece of the album. It's been covered by tons of artists, from Babs Streisand to Michelle Branch to the Flaming Lips. It's a wild psychedelic pop ballad in the vein of an Anthony Newley song. Stewie has a real special take on it, so I'm just going to pass the baton to my partner in crime.
Yeah, baby. Babs Streisand. That's one I want to hear. What a great song. We just listened to a little of it. Mm-hmm. And besides being Johnny and I both loving the song from our youth, and knowing it first time around, actually had a little bit of a closer history with it in recent years, having to remix it for a film, for a Wes Anderson film. The Life Aquatic.
Which is a great movie.
Steve Zissou. Wonderful movie. And the reason for the remix, well, first of all, I don't know if you remember in that movie, Sal George, who's one of the actors, does all these Bowie tunes.
Right. But he does it in a totally different style.
He does it sort of, not quite bossa nova, but in a Brazilian acoustic guitar.
Right,
really,
which is genius.
Genius, his own versions of them. But there was a scene where Bill Murray has some dialogue, and they wanted to use Life on Mars, but Bowie's vocal comes right in after the piano intro, like right away. So the whole purpose of remixing the song was to take David's vocal out of the beginning before, when the drums come in, I think his vocal comes back because there's no more dialogue. So I was sent the multi-track, and it was really great to kind of, first of all, listen to the basic tracks and kind of getting an understanding of how they actually recorded it in the first place, and then trying to recreate the mix. So there were things, obviously you just pointed out there's a big slap delay on the drum.
It's fucking amazing.
And it was really a little tricky to kind of figure that one out. But actually that wasn't that tricky because it was just a tape slap.
Yeah, short delay, right.
A delay.
And they probably back then did a tape slap, right? I mean, I would think, right? Well, how else? Well, I don't even know if they were like analog delays.
Talk to your brother.
Tape slap. I bet it was tape slap.
Yeah. We're not allowed to say tape slap. It was an eventide. And, the record is kind of amazing because it's got this orchestral arrangement, and it's almost, for those who are familiar with it, it's sort of an operatic arrangement.
It's totally insanely operatic. But also, like I said, it has this weird Anthony Newley vibe, too, with the string arrangement, and it's just such a wacky, like, combination of many things, and the lyrics are just, take a look at the lawman beating up the wrong guy. You know what I mean? Their lyrics are just so graphically...
Yeah, it's almost like a Broadway show kind of production. Orchestral, but also like screaming electric guitar. Obviously Mick Ronson had a big hand in the record, and great piano playing by...
Rick Wakeman, which blew my mind when I realized that.
Yeah.
Because, I was into him when I was a kid in prog rock. I was a huge Yes fan.
Right.
And Rick Wakeman was the guy at that point. And then to realize going back that he played this beautiful like orchestral baroque piano piece or whatever, it's just amazing.
Johnny Prog Rock,
Ricky Glissando.
Who's Ricky Glissando?
Rick Wakeman. Because he's glissing all the time. He's doing like...
And then he does that great, at the end of the song, where he goes into triplets, totally against everyone else. It's really beautifully executed. And the fact that we got to kind of just sample through the multi-track, obviously the multi-track did not come with any levels or with any effects. So you get kind of an idea of how far they had to go from that particular basic track.
Also super dry.
Super dry.
Right, so all like the reverbs on the strings and Bowie's voice are not there on these, which is pretty cool to hear them super just in your face.
Yeah, and just really drums, stereo pair of drums, stereo track. And what's also interesting is the drum groove against the basic piano.
Right.
Is it almost like that's why, in a way, I wish that maybe I shouldn't be a producer, because there are things on that record that I would go, nah, you should like think about, the drum fill that brings it in. It's like, what kind of fucking drum fill is that?
What are you, nuts?
What are you, nuts? Don't you have anything better? Would be, and that's the schmuck that I am, because
where's my Lindrum? I'll fix that right now.
I would have kiboshed that drum fill, and to this day, it's like.
But I like how it's all like on the accents too. It's like that's what makes it the pop thing. It's like, and like you said, the theater type vibe. It's really just there are accents on every other drum hit.
Yeah, that's right. It's another thing I would have told him not to do.
Yeah, don't do that.
Who was the drummer?
Woody Woodmansey.
Yeah, I got one.
So this is
right
basically the band is basically the Spiders from Mars, the Ziggy Stardust band,
right,
with Rick Wakeman.
Ah.
So you have Trevor Bolder on bass, you have Woody Woodmansey on drums, and Mick Ronson's playing guitar. Ronson also does the string arrangement, which is pretty amazing because and he plays Mellotron. They have the credit is Mellotron recorder,
right? But also you pointed out because the phone that rings at the end is on the Mellotron track, and as you pointed out, they had a mic in front of it,
mic and a speaker, yeah.
And the fact that on the record actually they leave the phone in, which is like amazing. They could have gotten rid of it as proof of the track we have right here. It's on the Mellotron track when the Mellotron is done.
Right.
So they could have just killed it.
Yeah, but they left it on.
Yeah.
So good. I love records from back then because there were no grids and there were no fields. You left things in because it wasn't that easy to clean stuff off. Like now you just click and drag and it's almost too easy to make your records clean.
I know.
But yeah, I mean, I just remember growing up and the first time hearing, this is the first Bowie record I heard, and I just really, obviously Changes was the hit for him, but this song always was in my world as just the majesty of it, and it's a sing-along, there's just everything about it is perfect, and then it wasn't until later that I got into the actual how great it sounds and how well it's recorded and how great the strings sound and the vocals beautiful and
how unique it all is. I mean,
and also talk about the whole thing about how they edit the end, because remember, don't they edit like the piano? They go right. He's riffing at the end alone for a really long time, but then on the record, doesn't it seem like it goes right to the end?
I think the record is kind of weird too at the end, because when we listen back to it, it did sound similar to that. Like the ending's a mess.
So they must have just muted the piano at the end and then bring it back.
And then brought it back.
When you brought up the individual tracks of the multi-track and we listened through, I noticed at the end that Rick Wakeman he's still playing through on the multi-track.
Right.
And he's playing melodies and stuff like that. And then, I don't know, 4-6 bars later, he goes into that really cool high bit that they end up using at the end of the album
and fading
song.
on that.
So what they do is they mute him on the last hit, and it's dead silence. The band kind of fades out, and then in the distance you hear a little bit of him playing that melody.
So the fact that it's on tape.
Yeah, they must have just muted it in the mix.
And this is pre-automation. Somebody grabbed that fader, pulled it, and then fed it back up. And
with a bunch of reverb, so it's like far away.
Right, so that whole ending is a one-time construction done live on the fly.
Yeah.
Including the fade that comes down.
Yeah, no, it's great.
And the telephone, which is probably, maybe they were going to mute the telephone and they got the piano by accident.
For extras from the episodes, like playlists, links, and videos, head over to gearclubpodcast.com. Sign up for the newsletter, and come say hi and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Gear Club Podcast. Thanks for listening.
And please, if you like what you hear, let us know and leave a review.